Hey guys, Andy here. So I don't normally record specific camera reviews for devices, but the Xiaomi Mi Note 10 pimps themselves a bit on their website. Dream big, shoot epic, the world's first 108 megapixel pentacamera. So clearly they're trying to claim that it's a good camera phone. And it's only in the kind of £460 price bracket. I think I got this one though for, it was the low 300s because I had a sale on at the time. So I thought, well, let's give it a bit of a look, because there are a lot of camera options on the back of this phone. There's 5 different lenses, pentacamera, and within that there's things like 50 times zoom as well. So I thought, let's give it a bit of a detailed look, which is what we're going to do after the intro. So I've shamelessly stolen an image off Google Image Search for us to talk about the different lenses and what they do. We'll start top to bottom, I suppose. So we've got the 5 megapixel telephoto lens. That is actually a 5 times zoom. You notice that it says 10 times hybrid. That's how it gets up to the 50 times that we'll see later on. Then we've got the 12 megapixel telephoto. That's the 2 times, it actually says there this time for a change, 2 times optical zoom. 50mm. I suppose the 5 megapixel to say 125mm. And both of those two are f2.0. Interesting that there's optical image stabilization on the 5 megapixel but not on the 2 megapixel. I mean, you need it with a 50 times zoom, and we'll see later, even then it doesn't really help that much. Then the third lens down is kind of the main one. That's the 108 megapixel wide angle. So that's 25mm. f1.7 basically with optical image stabilization. That is, and you can see there it says 4-in-1 super pixels, so that's how it will use the 108. 4 of them will create 1 pixel though. That will be just so your regular, I mean, I would imagine 80%, 90% of your photos would be with that lens. Then we've got the ultra wide angle. That's 20 megapixel, 13mm. That's quite a lot of megapixels for ultra wide angle, which is a good thing, obviously. And then finally is that little macro lens at the bottom, 2 megapixel. And what I want to do to just start things off is run through the different zooms and focal lengths. So this is ultra wide angle, and then we move into the regular photo. Then we move on to the 2 times lens. Then finally the 5 times lens. And then we're going to finish off here with the 50 times, which, yeah, little bit of a mess, to be honest. So let's come back to just the regular wide angle lens. Now this first picture, I think basically the problem is the bike just looks the wrong color. It looks almost pink. Not a great shot. Whereas we come indoors and the bike on the wall, it looks just fine, as it does when it's parked at the side of the road. The trees look good too. Then we've got some really green grass here, possibly a bit too green. And maybe the trees are a little too green here as well. But then Westone High Road looks good. Likewise, the cat looks really good. So generally they're good sharp images. Just maybe some colour balance issues, maybe a little bit off. Perhaps when the sun is very bright is causing issues. These first 2 sets of photos just show the difference between, we've got wide angle here, and then boop, we pop back to the ultra wide angle. Then in central London, wide angle again, and we go to ultra wide angle. So it's more noticeable indoors actually there, really, I suppose. But yeah, generally the images look good, I think. There's quite strong green in that case. Good indoor image. Generally pretty consistent results from the ultra wide angle lens. I'm going to move quite quick through the 2 times and 5 times. Good images from the 2 times here, slightly overexposed here perhaps. Image size is about 10 meg and it's about 4000 by 3000. We jump up to the 5 times, and again I think the images look good. In fact, this one of the cat I think is a great image. This is on the 5 time lens, it looks really good. So we're moving on to the 50 times zoom, and what you're seeing here is me trying to hold it steady. And actually I've not done a bad job there getting that one picture, but basically it just wobbles. I mean, it's so easy for it to wobble. Then let's move on to the actual sort of image quality. Now this is just the 5x lens. This is the 5x at 300%, and this is the 50x. Is it really any different? Then we'll do the same in the garden. This is the 5x. This is the 5x at 300%, and then this is the 50x zoom. Honestly, I don't think there's really any improvements. So now we're on to the macro lens. An image is here 1600 by 1200, and we're talking like a meg in size. You do actually have to get really close to the subject, and then I found the biggest issue is my shadow getting in the way of the photos. Well, that on focus, it seemed to struggle a little bit. Maybe it's just me not getting the right distance. I don't know, it seemed to be I got too close, it got out of focus. I'd back away again, it got a bit out of focus. So, and the images aren't particularly great. It's kind of fun, but I would say it's far from needed. Then we're moving on to the 108 megapixel shot. So this is the main lens, but all the pixels being used, 12,000 by 9,000 roughly, and about 24 meg. Honestly, I don't know that I can see a difference. This is the regular wide angle. This is the 108 megapixel. And again, the regular wide angle. And then we jump over to the 108. Can you see a difference? So what we're going to do, I'm going to zoom in using those same two photos. That's the regular wide angle at 300%, and here is the 108 megapixel at 140. Can you see a difference? I thought maybe indoors we'll see a difference. Regular wide angle, 108. Okay. So then we've got panoramics. Yeah, they work quite well. I think they look quite good images, and there's no sort of visible stitching. So let's go low light, and actually I think the performance in the low light is really pretty good. It struggles a bit with the bright lights, as you can see, the sort of the headlights and the lights above. But generally, I thought they were good. You know, they were good performance in the low light. Let's try night mode. So this is a regular picture, and then we switch over to the night mode, and then around the back of the flat, same thing. This was actually very dark, and then we switch over into night mode. To be fair, if anything, this just tells me it does a really good job without the night mode, because they were quite dark, not that you would tell from the photos. So let's flip it around and we'll look at the front-facing camera. And again, I thought the results were pretty good. Good colours, good detail. It dealt with the bright sky behind me there. Maybe slightly overexposed, but again, quite a bright sky behind me. In the portrait mode, it seemed to struggle a little bit around some of the edges to the strap on my chin there. It's not as crisp and sharp an edge to my head as you might hope in these other two, but generally they were pretty good. So we're moving on to some video footage. Again, looked good. The colour balance was good. It's reasonably smooth panning, good detail. Generally, video footage I would be relatively happy to use. I'm going to hand over to young Tom to give us a bit of a sound check. Give us a sound check, Tom.
That's fantastic. I reckon I've done about 35 k's an hour for about 2.5 hours, so pretty solid. It's a lie now, it's about 20 k's an hour, but it was a good ride. Really enjoyed it, and 100k in September, fingers crossed.
Bosh. So there we go. It sounds okay as well. We're moving indoors now. We're trying to sort of lower the light a little bit, and this again, it's generally that's pretty smooth, I would say, and it looks good. The colours look good. We're heading outside for sort of a dusk type situation now, all still, I would say. So it still struggles a bit with the bright lights look. It's like, is that the dynamic range perhaps? As you can see at the same time, same issue when it's rather dark. But again, it's quite smooth panning. The colours are quite strong there. I don't know if it's too much or not, but definitely quite strong. But overall, the video performance really very good. One last thing to show you, I almost forgot, is slow-mo. It's quite tricky because you only get like a second or two of footage, and it's the last quarter that it does slow-mo. So as you see there, I got the timing completely wrong. And I was gradually getting a bit better in that, okay, I'm waiting. Is it started to slow-mo a bit? Oh, it is. Right, let me start the coin toss. Yeah. Oh. And then I'm almost there now. Yeah, that's pretty much captured the actual flip. But again, it's a limited time and it's over again. So is it any use? Not particularly. Does it work? Well, kind of, but it's really very limited because you only have that limited amount of time. So all in all, the Mi Note 10 camera, yeah, it's pretty good. Should the big boys be worried? No, not really. It's not that good, but at the same time, if you've paid £400 or so for the device, you're probably quite happy with the results you're getting. The stills generally are pretty good in sort of your average conditions. So yeah, do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'd love to read all about them. But for now, my name's Andy, and I'll catch you all again soon.